Lena had always felt a strange pull toward the sea. Growing up on the outskirts of a sleepy coastal town, she had spent most of her childhood running along the shore, fascinated by the way the ocean whispered secrets only it knew. It had always been a place of solace and mystery, a place where she could escape the burdens of life. But after moving to the city for her studies, the sea had become more of a memory, a distant dream. That was until the letter arrived. It was an odd thing, that letter. She found it tucked into the corner of her mailbox one late autumn morning, the envelope stained with sea salt and what looked like faint smudges of dirt. No return address. The handwriting was neat but unfamiliar, with an elegant flowing script that gave it a sense of importance. The message inside was simple. Lena, we have found what you have been searching for. You are ready. Meet us at Blackwater Cove. Come alone. No signature, no explanation. Just a chilling, cryptic invitation. Lena's first thought was to ignore it. After all, it could be some kind of prank or a mistake. But the words, what you have been searching for, kept echoing in her mind. She had spent years studying marine biology and had become obsessed with the myths surrounding the ocean. Stories of sunken cities, lost civilizations, and creatures that lurked in the deep, unseen by human eyes. There were rumors of places along the coast, hidden coves and underwater caves that were said to harbor the last great unknowns of the natural world. Could this letter be connected to something real? Blackwater Cove was a name she knew well. It was an isolated part of the coast, often spoken of in hushed tones by the locals. Dangerous waters, unstable cliffs. But more than that, there were whispers about strange happenings, disappearances, people who ventured too far and were never seen again. Of course, Lena had always written these off as exaggerations, stories spun by overactive imaginations, but something in the letter stirred something deep within her. It was as if the call of the ocean had found its way back to her, beckoning her to uncover the truth. After days of indecision, Lena made up her mind. She booked a flight and packed her things. If there was even the slightest chance that this could be the discovery she had been waiting for, she couldn't pass it up, even if it meant stepping into the unknown. Lena arrived at Blackwater Cove on a cold, overcast afternoon. The air was thick with the scent of salt water and pine. The cliffs above the cove loomed high and jagged, the sea crashing violently against the rocks below. There was an eerie stillness to the place, as though the world itself was holding its breath. No one else was around. She drove along a narrow, winding road that followed the edge of the cliffs, the trees on one side and the ocean on the other. The scenery was breathtaking in its desolation, but something about the place made her uneasy. The wind was picking up, and the sky seemed to grow darker with each passing minute. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Lena reached the end of the road. The cove was just ahead, a hidden inlet surrounded by towering rock formations. There was a small pier at the far end, a few weathered boats bobbing in the water, and a dilapidated shack at the edge of the beach. A figure stood at the end of the pier, watching her approach. The man was tall, dressed in dark clothes that blended with the shadows of the cove. His face was partially obscured by the hood of his coat, but there was something unmistakably familiar about him. When he saw Lena, he stepped forward, his movements deliberate but not hurried. "You made it," the man said, his voice low and gravelly. Lena's heart skipped a beat. You're the one who wrote the letter?" The man nodded slowly. "I am. My name is Asher. We've been expecting you. Who are we? Lena asked, trying to keep her voice steady. Those who understand the true nature of the ocean, Asher replied, his gaze piercing. You're here because you want to know the truth. Lena hesitated but nodded. Her curiosity was growing, overpowering the initial sense of dread that had crept over her. Follow me, Asher said, turning without waiting for a response. He led her toward the shack at the far side of the cove. The wind howled as they walked, the sea churning with an unnatural ferocity as though it was preparing for something. Inside the shack, the air was thick with dust and the smell of old wood. The faint flicker of a lantern illuminated the room, casting long, shifting shadows. Lena looked around, taking in the strange assortment of maps, nautical charts, and old photographs scattered across a large wooden table. Some of the images were too grainy to make out, but others were clearer. Pictures of sunken ships, deep-sea creatures that looked like they belonged to another time, and strange, uncharted locations. But the most disturbing image was pinned to the